Hello, Academy fans, and welcome back to today's final between Cloud9 and Counter Logic Gaming. After 2 games, we are all tied up with action-packed games all around. And with CLG choosing red side for that game too, C9 are going to stay on blue side for game 3. We're keeping it aligned.
And this is one of those times where, based off the draft, I'm a little concerned because it felt like C9 figured some stuff out there heading into game 2. They banned out the Galio as the counter pick to Akali, which forces the Akali ban, and then that leaves the Kai'Sa first picked up, which looked pretty good for Keith, all things considered. It was still a tough game with a lot of hard CC on the enemy team. That feels like CLG's general game plan is secure good team fighting and lots of engage tools. And that can be pretty hard to play a marksman into sometimes. So I think the Kai'Sa pick came up huge for him, and now with C9 still on blue side, it's tough for CLG. You got to figure out what bans you can throw such that they don't end up with another power pick in the first spot. So we'll see what they have in mind.
We're going to be into champion select in just a few seconds. Each team has kind of weighed the power of each other here in the first 2 games. What do they feel coming into game 3? Is that priority? Do you leave the Mundo up for a possible pick? Do you ban it out? We've seen Golden Glue's Akali getting focused and that Galio. Analyst Desk was saying it was actually quite a pick for CLG to have to control the mid lane. There's the Braum out again.
Yep,
and there's the Kai'Sa.
All right, so the Kai'Sa gets dropped. I expect the Akali, or the Galio ban, to force the Akali again. I like some of the bans that they're putting down in support position. I think Morgana is one that has a lot of good matchups right now and can lead to a lot of like hyper carry protection comps. But CLG get in there, they figure out, drop the Rakan, which is something that has got nerfed, but still clearly very high priority for most people. The engage that he has is so powerful.
Yeah, you got a party, Shaka Rakan. Gotta just go crazy on him.
Yeah, so we'll see what they answer back with. Last time we saw the Alistar and the Varus, but I expect Varus to stay priority. The question is whether Alistar stays for them, or if they start grabbing the Gragas, which is another pick that feels like it's kind of becoming pretty important. Wiggly looked fantastic on it, and then Fang actually was able to make it look really good in the bot lane, and we know Sven can play it as well, so it feels like there's 3 people who are going to want that pick for themselves.
They are really favoring that Alistar. Coming into these matches, and when we saw Alistar coming up for other teams, but it was only a few plays for Phil. One in the regular season, and Tahm Kench was his huge play. Or a few plays on Alistar, I should say. There's the Gragas, however, going in, and they're just going to Trundle Gragas trade again.
All right, and, you know, like you're saying, CLG Academy are one of those teams that doesn't mind spamming one pick. I mean, it's pretty rare to see players in double digits on one specific champion. 3 of the 5 roles in CLG have played 10 or more games on one single pick. There's 12 Mundos, 10 Varuses, 10 Tahm Kenches, and so, you know, they're a team that as soon as they figure out something that works well for them, they'll keep running it at you until you break it up. And though the Varus pick did not work out, I still thought it looked super good.
Lovers Duo actually locked in here for C9 Academy. Even more synergy for those 2 going up against one of the most synergistic bot lanes in Otto and Phil. And we'll see how they do it. That Olaf was feeling pretty good for Svenskeren, so he's going to roll it again.
All right, but we get the Tristana adaptation coming in, which
second phase ban last game.
Yeah, Tristana is seen as going up in priority for a lot of people, specifically in some of the less utility-focused matchups. I don't think people really like playing it into Varus or Ashe, but into things like Kai'Sa and Xayah, you tend to see it a little bit more. It's also good into Rakan with the ability to buffer the jump out of his W if you see him coming in. So I can see why they're going for it. Also gives them good late game scaling. I like the Tristana pick the more I see it, but I think it's still about finding it in a good spot. And with Alistar, Tristana Alistar does have some all-in threat pre-6 and even at 6 a little bit.
I like the Tristana pick up well. If you can wear out Ragnarok long enough, you usually bust your shot Olaf away and kind of give yourself some more room. If Alistar is like, hey, I'm going in, you're back here.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an important pick because it feels like CLG are getting a lot of engage, or excuse me, C9 are getting a lot of engage. To pick a mobile backline seems pretty important. And Svenskeren, I mean, I don't feel like we talked about him that much, but he was picking up tons of kills. I think he was at 4-1, 6 kills at some point.
Yeah, 6-1 at one point.
Yeah, he was basically going down there killing GP post 20 minutes, which should be a little hard to do, but he made it work.
There's the Mundo. Actually locked out for CLG, kind of fearing that play to come in, knowing you'd have a Mundo and Olaf running at you can get pretty hectic. The LeBlanc is banned out there. What does the final ban? Does C9 say we hit Tuesday once more? Maybe that Syndra?
Well, I'm curious to see what they do because the Mundo ban indicates that CLG has a first pick in mind that is not the Mundo, and therefore C9 would have the chance to pick the Mundo. Because if you wanted to play Mundo, you could have just played it. I guess they wanted to play the Cho'Gath and did not want to give up the other side of the Mundo. You know, as much as we talk about Fallen Bandit playing it, he does favor it a little less in the postseason, it would appear. Last series, even though it was open a lot, he only played it in the 5th and final game, going back to comfort in a high stress moment. But here, it's only game 3 of the finals. It's not that tense. Play the Cho'Gath.
Not at all. There's still more to go. You can lose this one. This is the breather right before you have to make the hit or you strike out. There's the Poppy locked in. 21 seconds left on the clock here for that final pick from Cloud9. Selecting blue side here for this game 3. Syndra for Golden Glue? That would be the takeaway because not banned for Tuesday here, but Golden Glue is now going to take the Syndra.
He's hovering the Yasuo. You do have the Gragas, a lot of knockups here. All 4 champions providing ways for this Yasuo to go for that. It's also not a terrible matchup into the Syndra with the ability to win wall the stun and the ultimate. And so he's going to take it, but I mean, he's got to be careful. If Olaf comes running at you and your win wall's down, or if he finds an angle past it, you are in a lot of trouble as a Yasuo.
It is one of his second plays behind those top tiers for him. We're not too far down there after his Galio, Orianna, Syndra, but we do know Tuesday can get his mechanics going if he's feeling good at the beginning of the game here. Fallen Bandit back on that Cho'Gath, I feel like he can really provide a good teleport in. He's been in the fights. You saw that early game, or early changer in game 1 when they teleported bot lane. Silenced out the early abilities that you even have to escape. And CLG is really just able to utilize that chaos very well. And Fallen Bandit usually has a good lane, so you're going to see a big Cho'Gath coming through in the first place. We're about to head into game 3. One of these teams of Academy Worlds is looking to get that advantage so they can suffocate their opponent here and head to that game 4 with a victory in mind.
Yeah, it feels like this is a pretty pivotal game based off what we've been seeing in Champ Select and the priority on things like Gragas, Rakan. Things are getting left up that both teams highly prioritize. And then once again, lots of tanks, lots of late game damage. We're probably in for another game that's going to get pretty wild, especially around that 25-minute mark.
And everybody can help Tuesday. That is love. That is life. Everybody has a knockup, a displacement that Tuesday can go off on that CLG Academy team. They're going to have to be ready, though. They can be zeroed out. Good pick potential here coming out of the Rakan Xayah combo, as well as Golden Glue Syndra in the mid lane. We're about to be onto the Rift for game 3 of Cloud9 Academy versus Counter Logic Gaming Academy. CLG is feeling the pressure after C9's game 2 win.
Yep, going to be a lot riding on this one because, as you know, CLG will get side selection. So if they can find this game here, they'll be able to pivot if they need to.
Let's see how C9 is feeling coming into this game with that momentum as we have Abali with Rest Rice on the sideline.
Thanks, guys. Everyone sees Cloud9 as the team to beat, and you guys popped back in game 2, but CLG was still able to take a win off of you guys. So what do you think about that team?
CLG is a pretty good team. We like to think of the first game as a warm-up game. Kind of like last week, we lost the first game, but you know, we didn't have warm-up before this, so we consider that as the first warm-up. But yeah, CLG is pretty much, I mean, they've been together for a long time, so we respect them a lot. We like to look at ourselves like as the underdogs, so we can respect them more. But yeah, they're a pretty good team.
It sounds like you're pretty confident, but what's the team confidence like coming into game 3?
It's pretty good. Everyone's pretty hyped today.
Well, best of luck to you. Back to the casters.
Interesting to hear from West Rice and kind of the diversity of who feels like they're the underdog. A lot of people, as we said, paint the picture of C9 mechanically pound for pound coming in stronger. But West Rice feels that that team camaraderie and the history of CLG actually makes C9 the underdog.
Yeah, I think it's really nice to avoid getting cocky with stuff like that. You know, oh, we're good, but they've been together forever and they know how to play as a team. So we can't really think of ourselves as the better team. They've been around longer and stuff like that. So I can see that mindset. Either way, just glad to hear that they're not overconfident. One thing that happened during that, of course, was Keith did lose his flash, as CLG was able to kind of collapse down there, forced him up the river.
warm-up. Warming up the flash.
Yeah, talk about the warm-up from game 1.
Warming up.
Does make him a big target down the bot side now with those flashes available. You have to think Wiggly is seeing that and saying, ooh, a bot lane I can potentially snowball? That sounds pretty nice.
Nice hits. Few too many caster minions there than Fallen Bandit would have wanted, so he takes just about the same amount of damage for his troubles. And yeah, they're gonna have to be careful down here now. Slow going with that Alistar right in their face. Wiggly looks like he may go for that level 3 straight to the bot side with this push.
Yeah, I mean, if they're gonna be pushed up, that's something they're gonna have to worry about.
You know Sven's low as he's trying to speed through. I hope Sven's low.
You hope Sven's low. He clears low, but by the time he gets in the river, he'll probably have dropped his pop with the red buff tick and get back pretty healthy. But I think CLG communicated the ward out, doesn't want to run through that wall looking for a gank in the bot side. Instead, prioritizing the Scuttle Crab here. Sven's going to see that, forces the smite out of Wiggly. And both junglers lock eyes, walk past each other in the river and say, no bot lane ganks?
Yeah, not today. Playing it safe. It's been awesome to watch these two in the matchup with really Wiggly carrying game 1, Svenskeren coming through to play hard in game 2, so they now have to put their best foot forward to come out on top for their team. It looks like it's going to be a squeeze in. Good command of the bot lane, knowing there's no wards here yet. CLG is going to try to make a move.
Yeah, we'll see what they try and do. I think this might just be Wiggly making sure that the bot lane can push this in safely. Make sure Svenskeren isn't looking for a gank. It does look like they'll be able to get that one in. Surprisingly, have not been able to talk too much about the Yasuo Syndra. But it is a matchup that is pretty skill intensive. If you can land your stuns, you can trade out pretty easily. Syndra's immobile though, and does not, takes the barrier to prevent the potential all-in threat from coming in because the cleanse does nothing in this matchup. For the most part, I mean, you can technically cleanse out of the knock
like
and flash
cleanse
out.
half in the air and flash as fast as you can. But
Yeah, that sounds worse than just a barrier. So it is a matchup where both champions have a lot of ways to destroy the other one if they're not paying enough attention.
There's a ward placed in by Svenskeren, so he knows Raptor control now as Wiggly will come around. He might try to actually avoid that vision, but I think he's still clipped. Ooh. Still finds one there, but that was nice. I like it.
Yeah, I think you would have preferred to land that onto the vision that was dropped. I think they
it
thought
feels bad.
Yeah, he wasn't quite sure where they dropped that ward. He's clearing out as much as he can, but on the Raptor pit, they'll still be able to see Wiggly there. So unfortunate the vision plant couldn't help him out more, but pretty important that he's showing, kind of giving some precedence around the mid lane, because it did look like Golden Glue has a pretty nice freeze off in the mid lane here, which is making Tuesday kind of have to be a little risky if he wants to CS, and you see.
It is even more risky for Yasuo too, because you're like, I hope this dash doesn't put me in one turret shot range. You just want to be right outside.
That's something every Yasuo player can. I'm sure even the pros know that feeling of, oops, I ended up a couple inches too far forward and I just took 150 damage.
Hopefully your passive is up for a shield. Nice little knock there, but he didn't expect to see one. Fang says, I'm cutting off your escape. Doesn't really want the full engage though, not having vision of anybody on CLG's bot lane.
Yeah, as soon as that W got dodged out, Fang quickly getting out of there makes sense because Wiggly throws a body slam, Phil gets in range for a knockup.
Bing, bang, boom.
Could be pretty dangerous.
A lot of shields here. Start off for CLG. Same. You see going in the lane. We expect to take a bit of damage. We'll farm up. Tuesday shield up, keeping him safe. Is that a double block? I think he got the undertow as well.
Yeah, pretty clean play by the Tuesday. Make sure you have a minion to dash out of anytime you dash in. That's exactly what he did. And then was able to drop the wind wall when Golden Glue looked for the punish. They want this though. They want the knockup.
Oh, Steel Tempest just missing. And I think Svenskeren and Golden Glue realized he's playing a little more aggressive than usual. We can read this.
Yeah, Tuesday was seeing Golden Glue get low on mana as Svenskeren was helped pushing out the wave, and so he said, you don't really have a way to stop me if I get the knockup, and my jungler showed up as well. So nice play by Tuesday to get that flash pseudo 1v2.
Yeah. Teleports back to lane. A little mismatch. Fallen Bandit will have his first, and we've seen CLG utilizing that to make play number 1. Already 7 minutes into this game. Just CS is really going to be that lead. There's the buffer jump we were talking about. And just in time for the junglers as well to get to the party.
Yeah, very important you buffer that, because if you eat the knockup more often than not, that will buy enough time for the Xayah to get enough feathers down to land the roots as well. You start getting chain CC'd, you're taking a lot of damage during that time as well. And if Sven's wrapping around on the Olaf, that's a recipe for disaster.
Again, another game where bot lane continues to be the focus. We did have Fallen Bandit on the Cho'Gath last time. Was getting more love from Wiggly. This time solo, 67 to 52, as he just keeps trying to push Shiro into his turret.
Interesting to see the Q-Max on Fang, prioritizing these kind of poke and heal will give them.
Really?
Yeah, they want to keep auto shoved in.
Super interesting.
Pretty interesting to see as we see a hold on here. Golden Glue.
Boom, dashes before one, forced the flash steal. Tempest in his face for the 3v1, instantly taken down. And yes, all three members of CLG got a piece of that one.
You see the immobile Syndra burns the flash, but hold on, pressure on the bot side.
Fight back, Fang's able to retaliate as auto hops forward. They had that wave cleared and would have gotten a pretty good minion cavalry to do some damage.
Yep, wanted to get a couple more shots onto the explosive charge. But to the point, you know, the Yasuo has a lot of control over when you decide to actually go in, because you can dash at them with a level 3 tornado. They have to flash out of it. You're gonna see that's what he does here. You stack it on the wave, not really showing what's happening, and now with the third stack available, he starts going in, dashes onto the Syndra, make him throw it out instead. So, you know, if you flash early, you still have the tornado. If you flash late, sometimes you just get knocked up during the dash and you get the spin attack. So it's really hard to play as the Syndra if the Yasuo is able to go aggressive like that.
You see Golden Glue, you know, not much of a reaction from these players on stage. A lot of game to go. It's still so early, and things like that can not bend your mentality. Flash is down. Had to happen before. He knows his dance. Now Golden Glue does have to play a little safer in mid lane, though. We were just kind of talking about pressure wasn't here, and really hasn't been for a lot of the games until the lanes have broken. This time, they get it first.
We'll see. Feels like a situation where the Yasuo has the advantage. We talk about the split pushing that can sometimes come in. We saw it a little bit on the Rise.
Yeah.
No global tools available, taking the Ignite for the 1v1, but Yasuo is a similar champion where if he gets ahead on the Syndra and you start splitting, it suddenly becomes very difficult and you'll have to match with a different champion. But after that, you're basically hoping you have some way to match him.
You could see Golden Glue actually setting up for a solo play just on the side of the lane. He's stacking orbs, hoping to push Tuesday out with a quick scatter and unleash power. Tuesday's getting a lot of help here. Phil is able to leave auto quite a bit as the lane gets pushed up. He's farming safe with the buffer of W. And CLG is kind of being able to work off the ball here. Hasn't gotten him too much, but the information should be used to get something.
And, you know, Golden Glue can definitely feel that pressure as the Alistar is missing. Even if you don't have wards out, you know, all right, I can't play aggressive again. And they have to respect the fact that at any moment, someone actually could be flashing in there.
How close do they get to Svenskeren? Then Ragnarok immediately as they want to go out and on to Golden Glue. Zanya's is in, and who's his focus? He already did a bit of damage to Tuesday. And they're going to be able to take down Tuesday immediately. That was the focus as we saw CLG starting to scatter.
A little bit over eager there by Wiggly. There was not enough damage down on the Golden Glue. I think he was throwing that out, helping to kind of execute him, but I think the barrier came back up, which is what allowed Golden Glue to stay alive and bait Tuesday into finally trying to get that kill. And it looked pretty good, but CLG want to go on the flashless Syndra and just gets finished off as a result.
It was interesting because well, Golden Glue went down so fast, he actually didn't bury that first death. He just died, so he had it up fresh. Maybe that's what they were thinking as well. Oh, both sums are down. We got this. Oh, wait, he has buried.
Yeah, pretty likely as, you know, like you said, the chain CC the first time didn't have anything to do. Here, they run right past Svenskeren saying, I don't want a piece of that. Takes the ultimate right away. There's the stopwatch to stall out. Then here comes the ultimate. Then they get the damage in there. And then the last second, Rakan E as well might have been the difference to keep him alive.
He gets the barrier and that little passive magic shield. So helpful.
Yep, the magic shield, the barrier, the stopwatch, a lot was used there by the Syndra. I mean, that was everything in the kitchen sink to keep him alive.
How is he alive? That's what you leave asking. And now Golden Glue, a little pressure from Wiggly on the right here. He has flash up. Oh, flashes in the body slam, an instant last breath. And that one is pushed out of Golden Glue. They're still going to continue to fight Wiggly low, and now it looks like Tuesday is going to be dropped back to last week. The undertow hits, the reckless swing to come through, but it's just going to be a regular strike from Svenskeren to pick that one up.
So much telegraphed aggression in the mid lane. They blow everything that they possibly can to get on the Golden Glue, and now you're stuck underneath the turret. Fang and Phil keep leaving their lanes to kind of rotate up to the mid lane because they know there's so much aggression in there. It's like a 50-50 stuff. Fight breaks out while you're there. And once again, Fang is able to get there and turn the tide of this one. This is the second time in a row that the aggression by CLG gets countered. And Golden Glue, I mean, you got to have a tough mentality to deal with how much is getting thrown his way. He gets blown up again right away. They do a good job trying to trade the turret aggro, but the double knockup is just too much. And we talk about Olaf's early game power if he's able to train you down like this. Oh, more fighting.
2v2 in the jungle, rotation coming in from Tuesday and just under from Golden Glue. Wiggly very low, he's gonna be the first focus as Keeper's Verdict knocks the party off. A 1-for-1 fight as now it's Shiro in a real bad spot. Golden Glue's there to help bring in the cavalry and the unleashed power to drop Fallen Bandit. Over the wall is just too much for Cloud9, and they allow Tuesday to get to safety, but C9 quickly bites back for 2 plays that work in their favor.
Svenskeren becoming a bit of a powerhouse here, going for that invade, up to 3 kills now. And having more people there earlier was a huge part of that. The fact that they were able to find Wiggly right away. The Yasuo did collapse, but it took a fair amount to finish off Svenskeren, so it bought time for Golden Glue to get in there as well. And then I don't believe Tuesday had his wind wall up to stop any of the Golden Glue damage. He might have used it earlier.
Nice dodge. A lot of aggression here. Fight after fight we have seen. C9 pushing forward slightly into the jungle here.
All this fighting in a 1,000 gold lead by C9. It's pretty crazy to see just 14 minutes in. I would seriously have expected one of these teams to have snowballed the mid lane, but it's just so back and forth. And
I mean, we watched this fight again, but we think something had happened in both games before this, whether they switched lanes and said we want something else, but it's still been laning phase, so we're seeing a lot more in the jungle.
nice triple knockup there was actually pretty huge by Shiro as well. And some of the damage missing by Wiggly. Woo. And then here you see Tuesday showing up, no wind wall, can't stop the Syndra. And that's actually a 2v3 that was won for the most part. I mean, Golden Glue did kind of clean it up, but
Late to the party, but he arrived.
yeah, very impressive.
After having quite a rough mid lane, it's good for him to go up and get a kill. I'm sure that'll make him feel a little bit more confident about the plays pushing forward. 2,000 gold burning a hole in his pocket right now, so he would love to push that mid lane once more. And he'll spend a bit as Dragon will cry out of the night here as CLG takes it down. CLG has had great objective control this entire series.
Yeah, usually having the lead in Dragons, even in that losing effort last game.
Yeah.
Kind of continuing it here. Unlucky that this time around there's no triple Infernal Drake game to help them out like they had in the semifinal win over Team Liquid. That was a pretty critical game 3 that they found that, I believe. So
Thank you, Dargans.
yeah, not getting the Dargon support that they quite need this series, but hopefully the Mountain will work if they start splitting, or just even Tristana herself being a fantastic champion around objectives.
The Golden Glue, you can see him talking on the screen in your bottom left, discussing what's going on with the team. It seems like things are kind of at a breathing moment as he has spent that gold and comes back with a Ludens and a bit more Magic Pen. Seems like bot side will be a bit of the hover here, even with the Dragon being down. See if we get a fight on C9's turret.
Yeah, they are able to kite that one out by C9. Very scary there. Felt like at any second Phil could have flashed on top of them, but that got turned off. Svenskeren trading the Predators, both them Predatoring past each other.
Gotta go fast.
And I think a lot of that slowdown that we're kind of seeing now in the action mostly comes from the fact that the early stuff was all being forced by CLG for the most part. And it was kind of getting turned around on them. So they've taken their foot off the gas pedal a little bit, and as a result, C9 is able to exert a little bit more control.
There, our first lane break, 16 and a half minutes in game 3. Golden Glue has been staying away from Tuesday as much as possible, but keeping up in farm, because he is getting so much aggression right now. And Scarron pushes forward, Shelly's being started, and Shiro knows it, so they say possibly We get the caboose on this one. That's Fallen Bandit, though. Don't know how much they want that fight as Phil comes in for the double pulverize. A great quickness coming out of Fang. How much can they charm up CLG? Over the wall goes Keith with that. Seems like it might have been a mistake. Can the team back him up as, yes, they get the damage down onto Counter Logic Gaming. Still, 3 members looking for a way in. Wiggly finds Keith on the back line and is able to zero him out, but he goes down along in the fight. And now Fallen Bandit, left by himself, goes for the high road over into Baron Pit, but that's gonna be a long chase for Shiro as C9 get a very reminiscent fight to what happened in game 2 to open up the map.
Yeah, they find the 4 for 2, but they're able to get a lot more damage down in the AoE clump ups that happen when the Yasuo takes someone else's CC to start that out.
Yeah.
And C9 saw it coming the whole way. They had a ward where CLG was camping, so they can kind of take that at their leisure. They're able to win out again. Now the gold lead getting pretty large after that turret take as well.
See this again, because I thought Keith threw himself in the frying pan and he choked him with the Featherstorm here.
Yeah, he actually had a pretty nifty play as we see.
Yeah.
It started out by Phil, there's the ult coming in. A nice counter engage by Fang to stall it out. And Golden Glue, the main DPS, not getting focused down for most of that. Keith flashes over to finish off Tuesday. Woo! Gets the jump up in time and then flashes the pullback. Oh, he didn't flash, just walks the pullback on right. Had flash and healed earlier. But is able to stay alive, and it forces Wiggly to commit to get the cleanup kill. And then Golden Glue this whole time, finally the Syndra, not the one getting dove on here, is able to clean up a lot of damage. And you see how much worse those team fights look when you are dropping all that combo onto a non-backline target.
There's the Ragnarok. That'll get you real quick out of last breath. The CLG is looking to bite back, saying there's a lot of ultimates down on the side there for C9, so we may be able to get an advantage. 2,700 damage. And this kind of goes back to when I pointed out what Golden Glue's mentality was. When he got taken down, Charm quickly onto Wiggly as he didn't think that was going to be coming around the corner. He gets blindsided, and you can see he was not happy about that.
Yeah, that was a weird looking play where he kind of just charged face first into the Rakan. You're gonna have to see what...
A little bit of an oopsie.
They did have a pink ward in that brush, so he might not have known that the Olaf was right there.
And I was saying, Golden Glue, that mentality, he knew this is on the horizon possibly. I could, you know, I'm 0, 1, 2, and 3 now. Now I'm 3, 2, and 3 in a matter of minutes after spending that 2,000 gold. Absolutely crazy. He's got to be feeling great, and I'm sure the team's behind him on those pushed forward.
Yeah, and it's also going to give him the second turret of the game for themselves, extending that lead. And yeah, I mean, they kind of knew Svenskeren was there, but the collapse from the Predator was very quick.
I don't think he expected a quickness just for him.
Right, I mean, you see that come through right there, and
It's like, oh, I'm charmed.
yeah, I mean, they saw him. He could have turned around at any moment and body slammed out. Just definitely felt like, dare I say, a little bit of tilt.
Ooh.
Kind of getting hard committed into the situation that didn't need to be.
Yeah. And not even like, hey, I need to do this because I'm angry. It's just not considering the entirety of the play. We're 3 games in, that has to be on par with everything else in the game. People are pushing for that win more than not here in the World Finals. You got to expect it. Academy World Finals. 10-5, 20 minutes on the clock. And still, it's one of the games where we've seen the slowest kind of lane changes. Before CLG was like, no, we're going top. We need to spread this immediately. It has been a lot of rumbling in the jungle this game. Again, C9 pushed themselves into that jungle and tried to encroach through the defense of CLG. As the quickness come out, they go for the grand entrance. Get a little bit of save there, and they're just going to be out with their advantage.
Yep, they grabbed their third turret of the game, and this is the largest gold lead at 20 minutes, I believe, up to 5,500. So it started very back and forth, but it feels like C9 really have control of the game now.
Ooh, Fallen Bandit, the caboose on this fight only takes about a fifth of his health, but Wiggly instantly deleted. And now it's Tuesday getting the damage as his mana resource is low and he can't even fight back. Phil is now gonna go down. If you can take down one of the tankiest members in the first 3, it's gonna spell bad things for your enemy, and Cloud9 are feeling good.
Yeah, Fang drops, but at the same time, that's 4 left up, Smite available, no Chomp on Fallen Bandit either, so they're gonna go look right at this Baron buff. Otto is alive, maybe he has enough to dissuade this, but 1.5 item Tristana versus 4 people doesn't feel like it's gonna work, so CLG are gonna give that one up, and here we go, C9 in game 2, starting to figure this series out, have a commanding lead on this game. Yeah.
You know, yeah, it's just kind of like, woo. I'm trying to figure out how to stop this chaos because you have what would be Fang running around and then Svenskeren with Ragnarok. It's like you're trying to choose a target, but it's always moving.
Yeah, that's the thing is, it's a nice ultimate back, and they get Fang in the middle of the team as they go, but at the same time, you have this Olaf just destroying this Yasuo, and it's at the point where, with how far ahead he got in the game, 4-2 and 7 once again, 2.5 items in, he can kind of just go crazy in these team fights, and as long as he's doing enough to trade, he doesn't even mind.
Oh boy.
Here, he wants some more. Svenskeren.
Oh my word.
Another
Again,
act.
undertow hits. He's going to allow the Rupture to come in. Oh, the flash quickness. And now they're on to Fallen Bandit, the tankiest one. But who's just off on the side? It's Otto, and the Ignite from Fang drops him.
Huge play there by C9, finding the collapse onto Otto. There's really not much wave clear on the side of CLG, so we'll see how far they can push this. I mean, it's only 22.5 minutes in the game, but they might be looking at their first in-hit.
This is absolutely crazy. You kind of talked about Tilt, and I think it's actually kind of flowing into everybody there. The close positioning, the not understanding. Fang is going to be coming over the wall every time that he can. Again, too close after the inhibitor goes down. Phil is now in with Fallen Bandit, the two tankiest members already very low. Wiggly and Tuesday trying to take down Golden Glue as he stopwatches. And now they look for the reassess on the fight. Steel Tempest goes through, but there's no last breath to follow in. But Phil has knocked everyone around. And now the finishing touches coming through for CLG. They waited out the fight. They found the priority targets. And now they will chase Shiro out of the base for one of their first victories in the past 15 minutes.
Yeah, huge fight by CLG. I thought for sure that was not going to work out, but Svenskeren had no Ragnarok. We talk about how much worse Olaf is in that situation. They were able to kill him very quickly. Then Golden Glue was positioning around the right side of the fight, looking for an angle to stun somebody, but so many ultimates down on C9 made it so CLG could actually win that fight and get ace.
Heck of an influx in gold, too. We'll see it here again as they protect the inhibitor.
All right, so Svenskeren's kind of go in with Fang. They get the knock up onto the enemy tank, and that looks pretty good, but oh, he did have Ragnarok back up. He just got bursted through it super quickly, so he actually died right away, and then they refocused on the Golden Glue. And then this is just a monstrous knockup by Tuesday. I think it's a 4-man. Yeah, he gets literally everyone. Then Wiggly is able to follow that up with his own body slam. Ooh. The fight is scattered at this point as he's able to use Yasuo's mobility to chase down the rest of the team. And I don't know how many kills Tuesday just got. Up to 4-4.
And that was Golden Glue getting a few kills for himself, so there's a few shutdowns in there to catch in.
Yeah, Keith was shut down by Tuesday. You got to think that's a pretty rich Yasuo now.
Yeah.
And
must feel good. All the time we've been seeing Golden Glue back with 1600. That was a huge income or influx of gold there for CLG.
Question is, can they stabilize from here? Because you don't want to get over eager, say we got an ace, we're back in the game. It's like, no,
everything's all right.
You're a foot back in the game, but you're still outside and got to find your way through the door.
Yeah.
Here, you're still down 6,000 gold, and the power play of the Baron buff was still a net positive because there was nothing taken by CLG. All turrets are still up, so they have a long way to go to get back in the game, but it kind of showed that C9 cannot get too lax when they have an advantage.
All right, top is even. It's going to be farming itself out until it decides to push either way or hits that turret and goes back towards CLG. So focus on the bottom now for Fallen Bandit and Shiro. Teleport up for Fallen Bandit. I'm not going to get Baron for a little bit here, but definitely an option there before Shiro's teleport could possibly come up. And it looks like just resource grabbing right now. C9's definitely feeling comfortable about pushing a lot of their vision forward that's allowed to be protected.
One of the big concerns as well is for CLG, the fact that Otto is a full item behind his counterpart, an IE to not even components of an IE.
That's huge. And
pretty
sitting
terrifying.
on not even 900 gold.
Yeah, he's nowhere
Not even
close.
900 gold. Now it is. I'm a liar.
To your point, he's not close.
It's not close.
And so this is going to be tough to win team fights. I mean, CLG are basically going to need Tuesday to pop off with the rest of the melee champions. And if they can kill Keith and Golden Glue and neutralize some of those advantages, the rest of their team comp actually might be able to get it done. But this is no longer a protect the hyper carry Trish. She is not there.
It's so hard to play against accelerated utility as well. Shirelia's Reverie as well as Zeke's Convergence for Fang. So even if he's just short of getting you, he'll get you. Don't worry, you'll be in his range. So he can speed up and just go super fast, and he still has his out. Gotta watch out, Fallen Bandit. His health bar continues to multiply by 100.
He pressed the wrong button. I believe he wanted to Righteous Glory there, and he dropped his stone plate from a Rakan Q.
Dun dun. That'll happen.
hopefully doesn't. It can happen. And Cho'Gath is a champion that might matter even more on without being able to get that extra 2 damage spike from your ultimate. He is one of the richest members on the entire team. He actually is the richest member on CLG Academy. So very unfortunate that he had done that.
Slow going, half health from the inhibitor on one push forward from Counter Logic Gaming. Fallen Bandit in the front. Otto just off to the side at 3 o'clock. They are instantly on to Fang and they take him down. That's been the initiation that Cloud9 can get through the fight with. If they lose him, can they win it? And they take down Tuesday, and it's looking good for both teams somewhat. CLG doesn't want the initiation because they feel backed into their base against the ropes, and very rightfully so. They're taking attacks from Golden Glue and Keith, since Garen with the undertows. So many orbs on the ground. The Golden Glue looks to zero somebody out, actually used his ult already. Yeah. So they back off as they know the inhibitor was the last priority.
Golden Glue dropped his ultimate onto Otto there to push him back, force him into the fountain to heal, and with that, bought enough space for his team to walk forward and finish off the inhibitor. Tuesday got a little bit of the Yasuo syndrome after that first pickoff onto Fang, instantly dove onto the backline by himself. Keith dropped his ultimate to get out of there, and that allowed the big shutdown to swing back onto Tuesday. This is a really hard team comp for Tuesday to team fight in, and got a little overzealous.
As fast as Tuesday moves, you got people on the other side moving just as fast, spinning around and jumping all over the place.
Yeah, but the Drake control still stood firmly in CLG Academy's favor. They're up to triple Mountain, and with the Cho'Gath on their team, I mean,
Tristana, boom.
Yeah, if they can ever find an opportunity to cheese a Baron out here and stall the game even more, even if you lose a man or two, like, you gotta think that's worth it. Keep it off the enemy team. And if they can ever get in front of some turrets, they're going to drop those so fast with Yasuo Tristana.
That was the next thing I was going to say. The Demolition Crew going down one lane is going to be at the base very, very fast. C9, not a team, though, to kind of lose a fight and lose that much. They always temper themselves when they feel a disadvantage. But that's all up to CLG. How fast can they work, and do they have Cloud9's number in that defense department? Coming up on 30 minutes now, 15-12 with 27 kills in this game. We're almost at a kill a minute.
See, Fallen Bandit, with how strong he is, feels very confident walking forward, but still gets half health by a Syndra. Has a Warmogs to tick back up.
Separate.
He can not get engaged on here.
Oh, the jumps away. They know Tristana can't get back into the fight quickly. Fallen Bandit, they don't want him to take up. Is that the initiation of the fight? The Bass brothers of Phil and Fallen Bandit could go down. The Ragnarok, Sven Garen running forward to get the first kill of the fight. Otto now one more shot as Fang just misses the entrance. And CLG as well, tempering how many people are lost, but Cloud9 is still gaining advantages.
Nice decision by C9 there to actually go in right when they did. The fact that they had chunked out Fallen Bandit so hard, they did not want to give time for his Warmogs to tick up. So Fang decides to go in, and they're able to force the counter engage by CLG. With how many melee champions CLG has, if you get an engage onto them, they don't really disengage. They
have to turn.
They have to counter engage. And you know, it was not that bad by CLG, the fact that they only lost one, the Alistar, but still a good punish by C9. Doesn't look like they're able to convert that into anything, though, as the mid lane inhibitor was already down.
Otto forced to use double summoners on that. Keith has his as well as an escape with Featherstorm, so safety there and a aggressive push if they would like it. Quicksilver Sash, and still Mark, that third item is in recipe form for Otto. In a BF sword still. Unfortunate.
Yeah, and only 1,000 gold in his pocket, still not that close to the IE.
Getting strangled out, almost has 40 CS to get Event Horizon at 326 to 624, or 264 I should say, 624, yikes. And pushing, getting pushed back. When is the time they can possibly get somebody on a turret? They can't even send somebody to the side lanes right now with needing 5 in a defensive position.
Yeah, and C9 has so much control. They finally find the one ward that was still sitting on the top side jungle of CLG. They clear that out. Now there's complete vision control. CLG are totally blind. And they're going to have to run Fallen Bandit in, most likely. They are getting some wards down by Phil. But at some point, Fallen Bandit's going to need to be that big face-checking tank.
Absolutely. A little bit more magic resistance for himself on top of the Ninja Tabi defense, so he doesn't get quickly zeroed out. That does not look good. They start pushing back onto Phil and the rest of the members. Tuesday comes up and he's alive for a moment. Almost gets a kill. He does get the resurrection on his Svenskeren. This fight is so scattered right now. I think Tuesday might make it out alive. Drawing Cloud9 the other way from the fight is buying CLG so much time. They're losing a lot of pressure, but this could actually be C9 winning the fight and being in the base. It may still happen after the fact, and it may just be C9 buying time to win the game.
C9 still able to find that kill. Was a little scary for a second as Tuesday was able to trade the GAs with Svenskeren, but C9 had chased off the rest of CLG, so they were able to get him on respawn and get the Baron buff as a result. It was a nice start off on Tuesday. The chain CC locking him in place just too far forward. We talked about how there was no vision in that side of the jungle. Gets punished as a result.
Quick cleanup by Auto. So touch and go the moment you think CLG can have that initiation that they want. And they're turning as well. I think C9 is starting to absolutely respect the turn that Counterlogic Gaming has, because they're almost in a make or break moment. Tuesday says, I need to take out X, and he absolutely went for it. Those priority targets cannot be missed. So the fights are that much harder, so it's impressive to see CLG still kind of pulling them off with the power C9 has right now.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of tools that get very strong in this game. Tristana's continuing to scale up. We keep checking in on her. Still waiting on that IE, but the Yasuo at 3 items is very powerful. We talk about how strong Fallen Bandit is, and you can quickly see that, if C9 ever don't engage properly one of these times, very easily Fallen Bandit can one-shot somebody. If Keith gets flanked somehow or put into the team with a headbutt pull of an Agragas ultimate, Fallen Bandit is ready with the Void Jaws to chomp down on him.
Make quick work of just about anybody's health bar at this point. Mercurial Scimitar for extra damage and safety for Keith. He is nearly untouchable if he dodges the first few crowd controls and gets distance. Bot turret is the name of the game. 2 minutes left onto that Baron buff, and it doesn't look like C9's leaving anytime soon.
Low difficulties for CLG to clear the wave. They don't have the best line wave clear, and Auto gets chunked out for even thinking about doing it.
He's got a blue buff to keep that rapid fire and his jumps up and well. Inhibitor goes down, inhibitor turret I should say, goes down. They're gonna try and engage onto Fallen Bandit. He uses the Gargoyle Stone Plate to become a monster, but it's actually in defense. A lot of this stuff is being walked out. Cloud9 saying, thank you. There's another resource they do not have for the fight, and will push even harder.
They actually decide to go in here.
Tuesday goes in, doesn't get too much of a knockup. He gets absolutely obliterated. Phil's trying to do what he can on defense. Svenskeren makes it in and out. These guys are so slippery that Cloud9 cannot be tagged for a kill. Fallen Bandit looks to bite down, but he can't get it even with the slower Shurelya's. I'm sorry, his righteous glory as he goes into the fight. They drop one Nexus turret. Cloud9 come back swinging, bringing this series to game point as they drop the Nexus over Counterlogic Gaming.
And in the most commanding game of the series so far, I would say. Everything else has been super back and forth, but this time they jumped out to an early lead with a ton of aggression around the mid lane that they were able to counter out. And then from then on, they basically controlled the game. CLG did put up a good fight, but it didn't ever feel like outside the first 5-10 minutes of that game, it was anywhere but inside C9's control.
In a different game, testing every part of the map. Game 1, top side. Game 2, bot side. Game 3, laning phase lasted longer, and we got a huge fight after fight in the jungle, just really swaying what's happening in the mid lane and pulling those two around, just to almost be a nuisance to their farm.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how it was a bit of a skill matchup. Both people have kill threat on each other, and they have to be careful and play around each other's abilities, and I think both teams knew that and very clearly tried to make that happen. And Golden Glue, props to him for receiving that much attention, dying and kind of being the sacrificial lamb a lot of the time for the rest of the team to collapse and clean up after he died. And then to be able to turn around and make some big plays shows a good mentality out of him.
So picks and bans kind of showed us a few different things. Teams didn't go back to what we saw in game 1 or mostly game 2. But we are seeing that the favor of that tank, it's not Mundo for Fallen Bandit on the top side. Maybe they feel like Cloud9 has something, but we expected Fallen Bandit on Mundo every time he could get it in this game.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely been showing it a little different. The Cho'Gath, I think, looks good. I mean, he's playing it well. I have a hard time criticizing that. I think the biggest thing for me would just be Svenskeren's Olaf 2 games in a row has gone absolutely huge in the first 15 minutes of the game. And he's controlling the early game against CLG, not always forcing the action, but at least always being there for it to happen. Yeah. So I think that's something that you got to look at. And CLG will be moving over to blue side, or excuse me, they'll have side selection in this game.
Right.
So if they want to move to blue side, they can.
It'll be interesting if Wiggly says kind of like, hey, that was the fault game 1, we can play around it. And now game 2, he says, get the Olaf out of there,
Yeah.
like you said. We're going to send it back to the analyst desk to see how C9 have moved into match point.
Thank you very much, Riv. Yes, match point for Cloud9 here. 2 games in a row now to their favor. 2-1 the score. How many more ways can I say it? Cloud9 are up by 1 game, and 1 more will send them into the victory. Don't know why I went for that. Either way, a pretty good game from them. We got to see some cool stuff in the draft. A Yasuo came out for Tuesday on CLG Academy. We got to see some, pretty good tank line here as well. Rakan engages seemed to be pretty nice. A lot of fun stuff here.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't a bad draft from either team. I could definitely see what both teams were going for, but I did like C9's a little bit better. It just felt like like I was saying last game, their comp is a little bit easier to execute because, if you're CLG, Yasuo is not an easy champion to play. Like, that's probably like one of the highest skill cap champs ever. And you could see by the way their 2v2s went. Like with Gragas Yasuo, it's a really good duo for focusing mid, but like just any kind of tiny misplay or any kind of team misplay where you get outnumbered where you weren't expecting to, you can just really backfire.
Yeah, you have to pretty much play perfectly on the Yasuo. There was a fight where he went a little too far. He ended up flashing when he probably didn't have to, got him killed later. Another fight where he tried to back up Wiggly after the turret dive, and then he died again. And so this lead that they're getting Tuesday in the mid lane is getting diminished in terms of he's not walking away with as much relative to the game as he would have. And in terms of the draft, I think that I like Counterlogic Gaming's change to go with the Alistar Gragas. When Braum is banned, Gragas has more value, and that's why last game I was confused by the Varus instead of the Gragas.
Right.
I like that adaptation. I don't like the Kai'Sa ban in favor of letting the Rakan go over. Because I think Rakan Xayah just does so much work in the bottom lane, and it's so effective in getting you hard engage, which can force and kind of stop you from 1-3-1ing in compositions. It really does allow engages to start in your favor. I think Rakan is just a very powerful champion in the right hands. So I really didn't like that part. And then I also didn't like the banning of their own Dr. Mundo from CLG.
Right, I think that CLG is just trying a little bit too hard to kind of like flex on C9 in a sense. Like if you switch these 2 teams around and I saw C9 playing the stuff that CLG is playing, I think it kind of makes sense for a favored team to whip out like maybe a little bit higher skill cap champions, the really like playmakers. And I remember after game 1, I really liked how CLG drafted a team focused comp. None of their champs were very like standout like pop-off champs, but they sort of switched it up and they've been picking those pop-off champs and it just hasn't been working as well because while I really like CLG's teamwork, it does seem like Cloud9 kind of has the upper hand on the individual level.
So let me press on that because obviously we're now seeing the Galio banned every single game. So what else do you want to see them slotting in? Because this felt sort of like the inverse Galio game where they all come to Yasuo and give him a knockup and then he goes into the air and kills that person. Obviously that doesn't transition to team fights as well. But what would you see then change in the CLG comp? Like, is he going to play Corki every game now? Like, are you just going to go Mundo 100% of the time there as well and you're just waiting for the 5-on-5s?
Well, I actually thought Tuesday played pretty well in Syndra before. I know he plays a really good Orianna, a Syndra, even just control mages. And I think that if they run some sort of control mage with, maybe a Dr. Mundo or even a Poppy, like Shiro has looked very good on Poppy. I remember they beat FlyQuest last week with a lot of Poppy.
He's up to like 8-0 on Poppy, I think, now at this point.
Yeah, so I think she's one of those sleeper champs where like she's doing really useful things, but like quietly. So you might not always feel it. But I would like to see CLG kind of go back to more of like that team-focused play where you're just picking for a good team comp. You're using your very good coordination to your advantage. Another thing with the Yasuo pick is that I thought the way Tuesday played was almost disrespectful, not taking cleanse, not building Merc Shreds, and not getting a QSS. Because if you're Yasuo with Ignite, building Berserker Greaves, and you're playing against Rakan, Syndra, and Poppy, like, what do you do? What do you do if they just don't waste their spells? Like, you can't really do anything.
Yeah.
So
it's just such an awkward situation because the Xayah Rakan is just blasting the bottom lane. They get the turret before the Tristana can, and Otto is doing almost no damage in this game, and so Tuesday is almost the sole source of damage. And I have to give a lot of credit to both Fang and also to Golden Glue. Because if you get camped that much as a mid laner in a composition that has a Yasuo that can take over, like he did completely fine and was very relevant for the entire game on his Syndra. And then Fang was there, and I looked at the bottom lanes. Everybody's 0-0-0. He's 1-0 and 2 because he's actually made the plays where he's countering mid and he's roaming a whole bunch because they have pressure in the bottom lane.
Cool. So let's transition into some of these fights that we did see throughout the mid game. Our first one, 17 minutes in, Cloud9 Academy get a 4-for-2 victory in the mid game.
This was the one that started off where I'm like, okay, where's the Yasuo ultimate? It happens on the first 2 people, and then Tuesday tries to get away, and then Keith does a great job of flashing over, gets the kill, avoids the barrel from Wiggly, and then the pullback just actually shreds both of them when he's right on top.
I think Otto was a little confused by how he got rooted there.
Yeah,
Even
same.
watching it again, I was a little confused too, because he had both summoners and he just chose not to use either of them.
Yeah.
So, bit of a misplay there.
It just felt like, he's right here behind him, diagonally to the back. All the feathers come in, and I guess it's like edge-to-edge hitbox, so it catches him because the Tristana, I guess she has a fatter hitbox.
Yeah, I mean, the feathers come in just enough that they have tagged him, and so, yeah, out goes that one. So, yeah, that was the first sort of good fight that went well for C9. Obviously, they kind of kept control for a while, but CLG did have the chance to fight back. Our next replay is only about 5 minutes later on in the game, and this is CLG actually winning the battle. They do have the chance to win fights.
Trying to see where this one started off. This is one that Tuesday, actually, they get the engage onto Golden Glue. He zone uses. Tuesday walks back in to get his tornado because he wants to have that
Oh, this
glue up.
tornado was nasty.
Oh, yeah.
Poor man.
That one was really sick. And then he chases Golden Glue first, says the rest of the team can pick up those guys. And he gets a lot of gold off that too, because I think that's 1 or 2 shutdowns that went over to him. 600 for the Syndra at least.
Yeah, I mean, everyone but Poppy got their shutdown, gold flooded back over. So we could see that, okay, CLG have the chance to do stuff. Of course, you're still talking about the fact that it's so difficult to team fight. He can't cleanse out of the charms at any point during the game. I don't even think we saw like a Mikhail's or anything out of their Alistair. So, yeah, very difficult for them to do much of anything in those fights. And as time went on, of course, C9 would find those openings.
Yeah, and this is the one where Tuesday gets picked, can't really do anything. GA right off the bat. And then they're able to kind of focus him down in this fight as he goes out. Sure, he gets Svenskaren's GA. But this one was interesting because I was like, is he going to keep running? Because he's running them right by Baron. If he wastes their time, they might actually just all turn onto Baron and ignore him if he keeps running here. I might go, okay, Baron's more important. But he turns back instead. And I don't know how much he could have been able to survive there or how much longer.
I personally thought he was going to kill them all 1v4.
Most Yasuo's do,
Maybe he did too.
Yeah. If I'm going to take a guess, I think he expected the team to split up because he's running through fog and then around a corner, and he's like, okay, Rakan's going to come down, Syndra's going to come down, I'm going to turn back and fight the Olaf like in a 1v2, and like maybe that's going to work for me. I'll win wall so Syndra can't help, and he guesses wrong, but if I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, I think he expects a split. And then he's like, okay, well, now that they're split all 1v2, he was wrong. It was a 1v4. But, like,
Yeah,
that's what I would
a fair
think.
point because there was the Farsight orb that came
Yeah, I was about to be like,
right
there's a
before he
surprise.
turned. So he may have like walked back up to dodge a potential Syndra stun. It's hard to say, but
Yeah, all that
I
stuff.
think no matter what he did there, he was
No matter what he
not
said.
getting out of that one.
Yes.
Yeah. Either way, so yeah, that was a fun one though, right? The Yasuo came in. It's fun to see Yasuo. I think it's cool to see. I don't think Tuesday is quite that pop-off player, unfortunately. So I don't think he could take enough of the game into his hands. I think if you take, not that he would play in NA Academy with someone like Faker, right? Or he's gonna like, but
You're calling Golden Glue
but you
Faker
get a
of NA
player.
Academy?
But you get a player of that
He is.
caliber who has that level. Like, I'm gonna take the game in my hands. I'm gonna make my decisions. Like that Yasuo split pushes and like 1v3s constantly, and the game looks different when someone is that supremely confident and that proficient, right? Like you replace the player and suddenly that game looks different because of the things Yasuo does, and that's I know we've been talking about it almost every game. That's not quite the CLG style or their individual player styles really either.
Right, and I don't even want to take away from Tuesday's Yasuo too much because like he was 3-0 in Yasuo before this game. He has good Yasuo mechanics.
Sure.
He's by no means bad at it, but it's more just on a team level. It's a very hard champion to play with. When you have something like a Syndra who's very reliable wave clear, really good burst, long range catch potential,
Right.
you have something like Yasuo who's just got to be in there 100%. It's just a lot harder to play.
And Yasuo is so much easier when there's a secondary threat on the team, and the Tristana was just destroyed in the lane.
Yeah,
He's not offering this other threat. They can all save Syndra ultimate, all these cooldowns, just for Tuesday, and they don't have to worry about the Trist
I
as much.
do want to talk a little bit about that bot lane that you mentioned because they knew they were going to be playing against Xayah Rakan with their Rakan first pick, and Tristana Alistar is actually a lane that a lot of bot lanes will see as not really a counter to Xayah Rakan, but maybe a good pick into it because you get a very, very defined kill window at level 3. especially with like Tristana press, the attack, Alistair combo. So I actually think that C9's bot lane outperformed CLG's very hard this matchup, because if you remember, Keith had to blow his flash level 1 from the collapse, and then C9 was still able to manipulate the wave to push the early waves, get it to bounce back to them, to be safe enough to avoid the level 3 all-in timing, and they avoided a potential dive because Wiggly was down there. So very, very well played by C9's bot lane. They were in a potentially hard matchup with a flash down, and they were being pressured by the other team's jungler, and they still managed to come out ahead. So very well played by them.
Yeah, Flash of Zion not getting punished. Good stuff by C9's side. Either way, C9 only 1 game away from claiming the title of Academy World Champion. We'll see if they close it out after the break, or if CLG bring us to Game 5.
Choking on TV, choking on TV.
I'm coming, maybe kill, yeah, maybe kill Gragas. I'm coming in.
Gragas no flash, Gragas no flash.
Kill this guy too, kill this guy too.
Your ball is
Alistair's
there.
on the way, Alistair's on the way.
You'll watch your ball.
He's dead.
We got him.
Nice.
Push mid,
Good.
push mid.
Gragas
I'll
flash.
5 for next time. Okay.
Coming out of Fang, how much can they charm up CLG? Over the wall goes Keith, but that seems like it might have been a mistake. Can the team back him up? As yes, they get the damage down onto Counter Logic Gaming. Still, 3 members looking for a way in. Wiggly finds Keith on the back line and is able to zero him out. But Wiggly instantly deleted. And now it's Tuesday getting the damage as his mana resource is low and he can't even fight back. Phil is now going to go down. If you can take down one of the tankiest members in the first 3, it's going to spell bad things for your enemy. Oh, the jumps away. They know Tristana can't get back into the fight quickly. Fallen Bandit, they don't want him to take off. Is that the initiation of the fight? The Bass brothers of Phil and Fallen Bandit could go down. Tuesday goes in, doesn't get too much of a knockup. He gets absolutely obliterated. Phil's trying to do what he can on defense. Svenskeren makes it in and out.